Okay, I interviewed Michelle 2 months ago, and she expressed her vision to me somewhat in that interview that this year, 2020, and future years are going to be years of profound change with all the contrast we have been experiencing the last few years. Yet, I am following some people on Twitter and YouTube, some very serious sounding people, who say that in the not too distant future, we are going to have a worldwide recession or depression that is going to be worse than the Great Recession we had 10 years ago. Bearing in mind that a lot of people still have not got over the last recession, can you tell me if any good will come out of another big recession or depression? Because it seems to me that if we have another one anytime soon, that is going to send a lot of people over the edge, you know?
Yes, yes. And so this builds upon what we just spoke of, you see, because in the next year, and of course, what we explain in our books and our events is that there is truly no such thing as time. You see, that is a man-made notion, yes? You created a system so that you could all meet up at certain times. And for instance, for this interview, Michelle knew that she was going to speak with you at a certain time, but that is man-made. And so understanding that all your financial systems in all parts of the world are man-made, yes?
Yeah.
They're man-made. And many of them are very old. And it's time to rebuild those systems. You upgrade your telephone every year. Michelle was laughing at the commercial that there is an iPhone 11 already when she just got an iPhone 10. And those are not cheap. And so you keep changing all of that technology, and yet many of your laws and systems are very old. There is nothing to be afraid of. And in fact, if you continue as a people to focus all your energy on the fear, then you will create more fear and war and depression. Look at that word, recession, going backwards. So again, ask yourselves collectively, what do we want? Do we want to go backwards? Do we want to go forward and evolve? You see, out of technology, you can create great problems or great collectivity and coming together and unity, yes? And so why not start from scratch, build upon what you already know, and innovate entirely new systems that are good for everyone, that create not have and have not, but have and have. What if everybody had food to eat? This is not idealistic. What if everyone had a roof over their head? How would that feel? You are all one people. Start acting like it. When any one of you is suffering in the world, you all suffer to some degree. And so when you start to understand yourselves as the one and build systems based on that notion, it underlies everything. Even in the American dollar, it says you are one, yes? In Latin, you are one. All of your government systems understood that at some point, even if it was hundreds of years ago. And so from that basis, coming together, not basing it on some founding fathers that were hundreds of years old, but also were very patriarchal and were not all inclusive, not even of women, which are half the population. You see, evolving. In 2020, we think it's no accident that you symbolize those numbers with seeing perfectly. See what needs healing in your society, in your community. It starts with your community and your world. And also going back to seeing what needs healing in yourself. Because if you're all connected, then whatever you heal in yourself heals on a grander level. And that's really all you have control of anyway, yes? Of course, if you're on the front lines and you're in a leadership position to help, that is fantastic. And yet, if you're not, does it do any good to complain and moan and groan to people about the state of your government or your world? Or no, all that complaining creates more negativity, and it spirals you down energetically. If you understand you're all energetic beings and that your vibration is scientific, this is not some woo-woo spirituality, new age nonsense. It's from a physics standpoint. From a physics standpoint, every reality is happening all at the same time. And so tap into the reality you want, not the reality you don't want. If you keep saying that, yes, there's going to be a recession, it's going to be awful, everybody's going to be broke, you're creating that. And yet, during some of your, if you look historically, some of the people that made most of their millions happened during the Depression and Recession. What was different? They thought differently. They focused on a positive solution. And so if you can come together, this is a great, amazing, wonderful, transformative time if you allow it to be. You see, this can propel you forward as a collective. Because think about individually, whoever's listening to this right now, whenever you've gone through something really difficult, and if you've lived long enough, you've gone through something painful. And after that, it propelled you forward because you learned from it, or you got stuck in it and you're a miserable human being, in which case you're probably not listening to this interview. You see, but you could do that on a much larger level now. You see, if you all came together and realized that from this painful collective experience will come rampant healing and growth and new systems, innovative systems that perhaps you're not really thinking about creatively now because you're too immersed in the problem. You see, many hundreds of years ago, do you think anybody knew what the internet was? No. It's only been in the last decade or so that all that's come about. And so there are solutions that people haven't even conceived of yet, that are out there in the ethers, that you have to allow yourself stillness and peace, meditation, yes. Meditate, even if it's for 5 minutes. Clear yourself of those doubts and worries that will lead to individual depression and collective depression. You don't want that. What's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is peace and joy and thriving. Prosperity, yes. Health for everyone. Abundance for all. Because there's a part of you that doesn't, you believe that's too idealistic, but you didn't as a little child now, did you? You all came together. If you did fight, it was for a minute, and then you made up and you were best friends again. That happens all over the world. Learn from your children. They have more to teach you than you them. Learn to come together. This is a chance for great opportunity. Don't pass it by. And even if you do go into recession, so what? You've been in recessions before and you came out of it, yes? Every single country in the world has gone there. And then you came out of it. And this is just one dense dimension, we promise you, out of billions. Try to remember the love and joy and bliss, yes, bliss, that exists when you leave behind the density of this body. You all share that. You're all going to die whether you like it or not. That's truth in what you signed up for when you entered this reality. And when you die, because you don't have a body that knows pain, you don't have to feed it or clothe it or house it. You don't have to worry about people stealing from you. There's nothing to steal. You have no belongings. You don't need food, you see? And so you just lounge around in bliss and peace, and like we do, and sometimes you choose to return because you think it's an adventure. And then when you get into this lifetime, you realize that it is, in fact, a great challenge. Or you can use that opportunity to propel yourself into greater levels of peace while you're still here, which is what we suggest, and which is why we come back through Michelle's body vehicle to share this with you, because there's some part of you that resonates with this truth, or you would not be listening right now.